either one of these any good?
Wow, this is a good movie.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, well, the director from yesterday doesn't think so.
It stinks.
You sorry? You waste our film.
It's so bad. Almost evenly split this week between theaters and streamers as we jump into the screening room, and welcome to it. She is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And we are from maddwolf.com, MADDWOLF. And why don't we start streaming? On Prime Video, 2 weddings are double booked at the same venue. What? The father of one bride and the sister of the other bride try to preserve the wedding weekend in You're Cordially Invited.
Give it to me.
We're all here to celebrate love. So why can't we just celebrate together?
How sweet was that? The other wedding's already having toast.
I want to give it a toast. Okay, you are literally the best person I know. Stop playing cornhole.
Sorry.
I had completely convinced myself that you would intentionally sabotage my sister's wedding.
Well, my sweet little pumpkin's gonna have her special day, and no one's getting in the way of that.
He is going down. Hey, you better back off.
I'm not gonna back off. I'm twice as big as you. I'm just the tiniest dog in the yard.
And you know what? The tiniest dog ends up being the yard boss. Can I go whoop whoop?
She's actually nice, by the way.
She was really nice when she physically assaulted you.
How did an alligator get in her room?
What are you, the alligator police? Honestly.
This is from writer-director Nicholas Stoller. A long career. He's done some good ones and some not-so-good ones. He did Forgetting Sarah Marshall and Get Him to the Greek, both the Neighbors movies and more. And this time he takes a good cast, 2 really good leads and a good ensemble cast to really elevate a comedy of antics. I mean, you start with Will Ferrell, and I realize there are some people in this world who don't think he's funny. I don't get that.
No.
I don't get that.
I don't even want to know those people.
Anytime you see that, somebody brings that up, maybe online or something, who is not funny that everybody thinks is funny, I guarantee you, look at the first comment, Will Ferrell.
Yep.
Which I don't understand.
Nope.
I think he's hilarious.
I do too.
I love him. And Reese Witherspoon, honestly, I don't think I know anyone who doesn't like Reese Witherspoon.
She's very
really
charming. And she's funny, too. I mean, she has an Oscar because she's a very good dramatic actor, but she's funny, too. She does a great job with comedies.
Yeah. And so right there, you've got 2 great leads
and it's always
at the top
fun,
of the cast.
I think, because she's so very small and he's so big and lumbering.
And they make good use of
Yes.
that, and they call it out in the script. So right away, you're elevating things. Yeah. Will plays the father of Geraldine Viswanathan, who is a delight as always.
She is always.
And his wife and her mother has passed away. And so he wants to give his sweet pumpkin the best wedding.
That's right.
So he reserves, he thinks he has reserved this exclusive island venue, very small, can only really accommodate 1 wedding at a time. Puts it down, and then you have Reese, whose sister is getting married, and she volunteers to plan it. She's a reality TV executive. Will is we think he's a hairdresser. You get the sense he's a hairdresser. More on that later. But so Reese does the same thing. She calls and books the same venue. How does that happen? Well, there's a mix-up that sort of maybe could happen. You could see it maybe. So you have to suspend disbelief a little bit, but I suppose it could happen. Anyway, it does. So both wedding parties show up and look at this. No, I've got it. No, I've got it. And they agree through clenched teeth to try to make the best of it, which doesn't last very long, because not too long, each is trying to sabotage the other, or there's some hurt feelings, things are overheard, things are misconstrued, then, okay, it's on. And they're sabotaging each other's events to try to get the upper hand on who gets the best wedding. So the antics ensue. And there definitely are smiles and laughs along the way. But as I said before, this is elevated by the cast. Not only Will and Reese, but you've got a cast full of recognizable faces, maybe not. Maybe the names are not as recognizable. I mean, we mentioned Geraldine Viswanathan. She's made a few movies now, but Jack McBrayer from 30 Rock,
sure.
he shows up. You've got Bobby Moynihan from SNL. Celia Weston.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know her face.
Yeah, you do.
You'll know her face.
She goes all the way back to TV, and she's had a long career. She plays Reese's mother. And that's how you sort of have the dueling camps here. You've got Reese's family is the bless your heart Southerners, okay, and Celia is the matriarch. Who never seems to approve of anything that Reese does. Actually, that's how she sees it. Then on the other hand, you've really got Will, his daughter, and his daughter's
college friends,
the bridesmaids, a little rowdy, and then of course her groom, her future husband. Those are the two camps, and of course they're different, and so they come to clash a little bit, and then there's black eyes. There's lots of karaoke singing. Hope you like Islands in the Stream, by the way.
There's some gator wrestling.
That's the one that, for me, really pushed it a little too far. I mean, you expect the antics in this, but when there's alligator wrestling, okay. But by the time it gets to the end, where you know where it's going, as we do in rom-coms,
sure,
I mean, come on, both of these people are single. Where's it going? It's fun along the way. And then the biggest laugh-out-loud moment for me, when you finally find out what Will Ferrell's character does for a living. The answer and the way he delivers it, I burst out laughing because I was not expecting that. But like I said, I hope this isn't too much of a spoiler. You think he's a hairdresser this whole time, but he's got something else that he does for a vocation, which is great. So yeah, it's fine. Especially you've got it. It's streaming. It's a perfect streaming type of comedy.
Yep.
People you like, fun enough. You're smiling. You haven't paid any extra for it, probably.
Right.
You're not going to remember it next month or anything, but while you're there, you're going to have a good time with it, I think. And it's especially if you've been to any kind of a wedding that gets crazy, and a lot of them do when people start drinking, and who knows what happens. Is there alligator wrestling? Probably not. I don't know what kind of weddings you go to, but, probably not. But, yeah, it's another one that's elevated by this cast, and especially by Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon. So that is on Prime Video now. It's called You're Cordially Invited. Well, let's go to theaters next for a horror comedy. Ooh, we like those. A billionaire's death sets off a chain of events for Iris and her friends during a weekend trip to his lakeside estate. It's called Companion.
Just relax. Remember to smile and act happy. Do they know? Iris, wake up.
What are you doing? Shut her down already.
What is she talking about, Josh?
This was not part of the plan.
I didn't mean to.
Did you jailbreak your sex bot? Wow, Josh.
The days of you controlling me are over.
Are you breaking up with me?
It's not you. It's me.
This is from writer-director Drew Hancock. Might be his feature debut. He's worked a lot in TV. And this is fun, too. I mean, it takes a lot of tropes. It takes some story beats that you'll find familiar and puts them together in a pretty clever way.
Yeah, and I hate to give away too much, but I'll tell you what. I mean, this movie is just surprise after surprise, and so if you've seen anything more than the teaser trailer, then it's not going to be a big surprise to you that Iris is actually a robot.
Right.
She's a companion robot, and she gets called some other things through the film that are less polite than that, but she doesn't know it.
And she's played by Sophie Thatcher.
So good, just recently in Heretic.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and she really is. Sophie Thatcher is so good in this movie because she is very, very human and also believably not. It's a strange, uncanny sort of a performance, and she's wonderful. And she, of course, desperately, dearly loves Josh, who is played by Jack Quaid. Who looks just like his dad.
That smile, it's talk about uncanny.
Yeah.
I kept expecting him to shove a shrimp cocktail in his mouth. the smile, just like Jack Nicholson's son, who we just saw in Smile 2.
Yeah.
Their smiles are identical.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, well I know whose son he is.
And so, but what's interesting about the movie to me is that it's not, so often there are a lot of movies about hot female robots, actually, and there have been for a long time. But this one, those themes are placed on top of this murder mystery, and I think that the murder mystery and the way that resolves itself, it makes for very clean and interesting thriller beats. And the way they're used to dive into the themes that come up around this idea of AI and also of female power and male power. But it's so fun. It is a lot of it.
Funny.
It is very funny. And that's the thing. It's a horror comedy, but it's really just a very, very dark comedy with murder.
Yeah.
And
there's a little bit of blood.
Yeah, there's some blood.
Some blood.
But not a ton of it. But it is also in most ways sort of a fantasy fulfillment movie, which it sort of keeps it from being kind of a masterpiece, really. But it's just the whole time you're like, oh, I hope that happens, and then it does happen, and then you're happy about that. It's very cleverly written, and I think all of the performances are really solid, are really good. The thing that makes it different from, Megan or from Subservience or from so many of these other movies is that you root for the AI the whole time. So that's a fresh twist on things.
Yeah, there are definitely some twists because, like you said, the trailer just goes ahead and gives away that she's an AI. So that's not the only twist, believe me.
Oh no, not at all.
And it is fun because it is rooted in this murder mystery. Once this millionaire who owns the big
Sergey,
the big getaway that they've gone to, once he dies, and then you find out, oh, there's a lot of money in that safe, and what's going on? But it's clever. It's going to remind you of several other movies. Stepford Wives, obviously.
For sure.
It also reminded me of Get Out in some ways, sort of a lower, like a B movie, Get Out.
Yeah.
But people get their comeuppance, and for me, it went just a little bit overboard with being direct in its lessons. But that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it sort of fit the mood of the movie as well. I just always like to lean towards subtlety, but I just went a little bit overboard.
It's not
for me.
very subtle.
No, it's not. But it is enjoyable.
It is. Yeah.
It is.
It absolutely is.
Fun and funny if you like horror comedies, and I also don't think it hides its influences. It's not really interested in doing that.
No.
It's just puts them together.
Yeah, you're gonna see about 90 different movies in this, but the way that it mixes and matches them, and even the aesthetic, the way it looks feels not authentic, feels borrowed, but it all comes together in a very fun package.
Yeah, just a fresh enough way. I mean, right now, AI, of course, is on everybody's mind, so we can expect all sorts of these. We've already had plenty about cautionary tales, but this one is clever and mischievous and has its own little spin on it, even though it's building on other ideas from other movies.
Yeah.
So it's enjoyable. It definitely is. It's fun and a fun little ride, and not about an hour and a half, so it's in and out.
Absolutely.
Gets it done.
Yeah.
And there's a fun little. You don't have to wait too long once the credits come up.
Right.
There's a fun little extra something.
Yeah, little stinger.
Just a couple of minutes or not even that long into the credits. So be sure to hang around for that. And that is in theaters now. It's called Companion. We'll stay in theaters finally. For an Oscar nominee during the 1972 Summer Olympics in Munich, Germany, an American sports broadcasting team must adapt to live coverage of the Israeli athletes being held hostage by a terrorist group. This is September 5.
ABC wants news to take over.
Your sports, you're in way over your head.
400 yards away from where this is happening.
We are the only people capable of following it live. This is our story, and we're keeping it.
What do I tell the cameras?
What do you mean?
I mean, can we show someone being shot on live television?
We're on.
We'll make it broadcast history. More people have seen this than watch Armstrong land on the moon.
Now, police are on the roof.
Oh, guys.
That's a TV. Are they seeing what we're seeing?
What are you talking about?
Are the terrorists seeing this?
Our job is to tell the story of these individuals whose lives are at stake.
It's not okay. We made it worse.
It's a madhouse down here.
They know the whole world is watching. If they shoot someone on live television, Whose story is that? Is it ours or is it theirs?
It's funny, when we put the notes together for this podcast, I think this movie has been in our notes how many weeks now?
Oh, yeah.
And then we get to the end, oh, no, it's not coming out this week.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not coming out this week. Finally.
Yeah, finally.
It's getting a wider release, and it deserves it because it has been nominated for Best Original Screenplay. The co-writer and director is Tim Fielbaum. And it's interesting that it's original because you see it and you could really understand how it'd be an adapted screenplay.
Yes, yeah.
It really feels like it could be, but no, it's original, and it is so gripping about the 1972 Summer Olympics in Munich. And, of course, Steven Spielberg covered this about, I think exactly 20 years ago with Munich. And that focused on the aftermath and trying to find the people responsible. This one focuses on as it's happening. And it's such a riveting angle because what it does, it takes you inside the sports crew that was there, of course, to cover the Olympics,
right,
who got thrown into being a news crew once this broke. And it feels like, I'm not totally sure that it's real time, but man, it feels like it.
Right.
Just the minutes tick away and you're sweating. And if you remember this, as I do, I was pretty small, but I remember it. You remember how it gripped the nation. I mean, the big story up to then had been Mark Spitz winning all those swimming gold medals, and then this was like, what? A hostage situation at the Olympics? And what happened was, as this went along, and the sports department decided, no, we're staying on this. The network wanted to give it over to a news crew, and
who wasn't there. Who
wasn't there. They were on the ground, and they were taking care of it, and they were going to keep it. Led by Roone Arledge, who was a long time, you may know that name, a legendary name, especially in sports broadcasting. And he's here, played by Peter Sarsgaard.
Always great.
Yeah, and this
never ever a bad performance.
And this ensemble is just first rate. Again, it's going to be faces. Really, outside of Peter Sarsgaard, you may know his name probably more than anyone else.
Oh, John Magaro.
One
of my all-time
Ben
favorites.
Chaplin, Leonie Benesch, who is so good, and she's mainly in foreign language films. She was just in The Teacher's Lounge.
Yes.
I mean, she's so good. She's the interpreter that is there working with the crew, and it's a fantastic ensemble as they just have to make these decisions on the fly because basically they were broadcasting terrorism live to the viewing public.
Right.
And then it dawned on them, it dawned to everybody that, well, the terrorists could be watching this too.
Right, and so are they giving away what the police are doing?
Right,
yes.
Are they hurting more than they're helping?
Yeah.
And there's all these decisions they had to make, boom, right there. And it is just gripping. Even if you know, if you remember, or if you've read, if you know how it turned out, even so, it is one of those that just you're sweating along with them with every tick of the clock as it goes closer to a showdown with these terrorists, and it's really it deserves. I actually thought it deserved more award attention than it got. I'm glad it got something because the screenplay is great, the ensemble is great, the direction is tight, it moves. It's only, again, it's about an hour and a half. And you're in and you're out, and you're sweating just right along with them. So really effective thriller. Also, I do want to say this movie does as good a job as any I've seen in years about weaving real footage into the actual movie. It's seamless. I mean, you see actual footage from the broadcast of those Olympics with old sports broadcasters that you may know, and it's seamless. It really is a fantastic job of weaving that footage into the new footage, and really worth checking out. It's in theaters finally, getting a wider release, and it's called September 5. Let's stay in theaters for the return of, one of our favorite filmmakers and one of our favorite actors. It's a comedy drama, ongoing exploration of the contemporary world with a tragicomic study of human strengths and weaknesses and one unforgettable character in Hard Truths.
She makes everything about her. She's rude, man. I've been harassed by people all day. I'm sick to death of it. I just want it to all stop.
Why are you so angry? Why can't you enjoy life?
I don't know.
You worry me, you know.
Pansy, what's going on?
I'm so lonely. What are we gonna do about it? I don't understand you. I love you.
And her over there with that fat baby, parading it around in the little outfit. Not dressed for the weather, nah, with pockets. What's the baby got pockets for? What's it gonna keep in its pocket?
This is the latest from writer-director Mike Leigh. Just done some great films, Secrets and Lies, and Happy-Go-Lucky, and Vera Drake, Mr. Turner, Another Year, Topsy-Turvy, on and on and on.
Yeah.
And then you've got in the lead an unforgettable performance by Marianne Jean-Baptiste.
Who's always exceptional.
Always.
But this role people should study. This performance people should study. And it is funny. They say it's a tragic comedy. There are some moments that are so funny, but this character is so unpleasant, it almost seems cruel to be stuck with her for 90 minutes.
And it just made me think how hard it must have been to play her.
Exhausting.
Marianne Jean-Baptiste had to live with this character because I'm telling you, she is so unpleasant. There isn't any human interaction that she can't turn ugly.
And she never stops talking.
Stops. Always.
Which is why she's so, and she's exhausted all the time, and she's laying down, and and so she's got a husband and a son, both of them really, really, really solid performances. They basically never speak. And then just when you think you can bear this character no longer, all of a sudden, mercifully, Mike Leigh introduces the character of her sister, who is played by Michelle Austin, her sister Chantel, who's the polar opposite.
Polar opposite.
Yeah,
her
she's
family,
fun, she's loving,
her
she's
kids are
full of life.
Yeah, everything is the polar opposite. Her family is the polar opposite of
Pansy.
Of Pansy's family. And it's amazing. And she tries, her sister does Pansy's hair, and she tries to get her engaged and tries to have fun and laugh, and Pansy just won't have it.
No.
And it's so heartbreaking because, and this is in the trailer, when her sister asks her, why can't you enjoy life? And she says, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
And I think that's maybe what I liked most about this film is that, Mike Leigh, and I think he does this a lot, he accepts people as they are.
Yeah.
And he doesn't try to forgive her, and he doesn't create some big bombshell moment where you're like, oh, and this is how this is
what
created.
happened. Right, right.
He just accepts people as they are, and
Right.
he doesn't even necessarily resolve anything for them, which is the way this film ends is I think exactly as it needs to, and just heartbreaking.
Yeah, because who hasn't come across people who are just unpleasant?
Oh yeah.
And they're out there.
Oh my God,
and
yeah.
you are spending an hour and a half with one of those people, and then see how they interact with their family, their immediate family at home in their own house, and then some extended family in other homes. And it's fascinating, but it's also very tense. Like every time she goes to a new place, a store, or the grocery, what's she gonna do? Who's she gonna pick a fight with? And
Everyone.
how's she gonna? Everyone. There's nothing you can say or do to this woman.
In fact, you cannot say or do anything, and she's still you're on her radar.
Yeah, it does not matter, and it's like you said, it should be studied. It's a fascinating idea for a film, especially when you look back on Mike Leigh's films, and I really like so many of his films, and they're often filled with really unforgettable characters that are taking stock of things of their lives, but this is like no other character that I've seen in one of his movies. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, I was really, really sorry that she was not remembered with an Oscar nomination because Marianne Jean-Baptiste's performance in this movie is the best performance I saw this year. In a lead, in a male, and a female, and a supporting. It was the best performance I saw this year.
And like you said, she's always good. No matter.
She is.
Here she's got a great lead performance, but she can just pop in and just add spice to a small role. Of course, she's in that very memorable horror movie In Fabric that we loved years ago. She always just draws your attention and makes the character someone that you care about. Even as is the case here, you don't understand her.
No.
And you're like,
and you really want to get away from her.
You do. You do. It's a fascinating character study by Mike Leigh, and another winner from him, and that is in theaters now, and it is called Hard Truths. will stay in theaters for another Oscar nominee, and this is a foreign language film, international film, that is getting a wider release here over the next few weeks, starting with this week and then over the next couple. It's rolled out as we get closer to the Academy Awards. A political drama and thriller, investigating Judge Iman grapples with paranoia and political unrest in Tehran. When his gun vanishes, he suspects his wife and daughters, imposing draconian measures that strain family ties as societal rules crumble. It's called The Seed of the Sacred Fig.
نگرانی خانوادت بفهمن چی کاره ای؟ من از هیچ کس نمیترسم.
چه مصیبتی بود افتاد تو زندگی من.
This is the latest from writer-director Mohammad Rasulov, who is a great filmmaker.
Oh, amazing.
His films are so insightful and so intimate. But then when you look at his backstory, what a courageous activist and stalwart defender of expression, artistic expression. I mean, a lot of this is based on some of his own interactions with the government in Iran. I mean, he has been sentenced. He's spent time in prison. He has since fled the country. He has been sentenced by the very court that is involved in this movie, because it's a court where the lead character, Iman, has just gotten a promotion to investigator. And that is one step below a judge.
Right.
So it's pretty, it's getting some status there. And it's a move that makes his wife very hopeful that it will come with a bigger apartment. They'll be given a bigger apartment because they have 2 teenage daughters, and she would love for them to have their own bedrooms. That doesn't come yet. What it comes with is a gun, because these investigators are involved in some very serious issues, and it can put their life in danger. He has to watch his back, and the family now has to watch their friends, especially their children's friends, and also the children, the girls, should stay off social media. Everything is very delicate now, even though the wife and of course, Iman himself are excited about this move. There's a lot of baggage that comes with it, especially after Iman finds out why he got the promotion, what happened to the guy who had the job before him. And as this goes on and he's adjusting to this new life, there are more political protests, and one of his daughter's friends gets caught up and gets arrested. Well, then his daughters lean on their father to try to find out what happened, maybe ask some questions, and that's a very, very delicate issue for him, but that's nothing compared to what happens when the gun that they've given him goes missing from the house.
Because he could go to prison for that.
He could go to prison for that, exactly. So it's very important now. He's got to find out who. He's convinced one of them, either one of the 2 daughters or the wife, took the gun. And, yeah, he goes to extreme measures to find out who. And that is how the narrative slowly escalates from hushed family drama to real tense thriller by the end of it. And along the way, it touches on so many important topics and uses a bit of actual footage itself. In this, early on, it's sort of kicked off by protests from a government killing in 2022, I think, and part of those protests, the filmmaker himself, he was involved in, and one of the reasons why he got arrested from some of the research that I was able to do. And so that sort of comes into the beginning of the film, and then it's just another very intimate way for the filmmaker to comment on living under an oppressive totalitarian regime and a patriarchal religious society.
Yes.
And you see that playing out because the 2 girls, they're teenagers, and they are now asking the questions that his wife learned to stop asking years ago for hope of maybe a better life if she just keeps quiet. And really, Iman too, but he didn't have it as badly because he's a man.
Right.
And so you see that play out, and also by the it's small, but it's important act of an Iranian filmmaker making this movie, which I understand was filmed in secret a lot of the times, filming Iranian women without their head coverings, even if they're inside their houses in the story, it's just something that Iranian filmmakers are not expected to do. So just little acts like that,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's revolutionary, everything about the film.
And not only has the filmmaker, Mohammad Rasulullah, fled the country now, the two actors that play the Iman and his wife, they have now been forbidden from leaving the country. I mean, this is serious stuff. These people are so courageous in what they're doing.
Yeah.
And even if the movie was not good, that would just add another level of respect
but
for
it's
what
so
they do.
good.
It's so good.
It's so good.
He's so good at these types of movies. I think his last film, There Is No Evil, look that up. That was an anthology of short films that he did all himself. Usually you don't see an anthology by the same director.
Right.
But they're all on the same subject, which is the death penalty. Just staggering.
In Iran.
In Iran. Staggering. Just staggering. And as this is as well. And it leads to a sobering finale that is one of those that you'll be thinking about. Not only about the movie just at surface level, but all that went into making it and what these people are giving up. They're putting their freedom, their lives on the line for artistic expression, and that makes it even more important to see. And I highly recommend it, So glad that it's been nominated for an Oscar. It very much deserves it. Great filmmaker. It's called The Seed of the Sacred Fig. Let's go back to VOD for a horror thriller. When a down-on-her-luck video editor takes on a mysterious, well-paying job cutting snuff films, she is haunted by visions of the people in her videos. It's called Freelance.
These videos are getting in my head.
I mean, it must be fake. What do you know about these people?
Nothing. They're after my family. They're trying to destroy my life.
What exactly have they done? They paid you to edit some videos and then they asked you to do something, and that is it. I told you gotta put those videos behind you. No amount of money is worth this.
It's real. They're in my apartment, or I'm dreaming that they are. I don't know what's real and what's not anymore. They're watching me, controlling my life. They know where I live, who my family is, everything about me. They won't let me get out of this. I'm losing grip of my sanity.
Brooklyn Ewing reviewed this one for us. Loved it. Loved it. And was really... She thought it looked great. It had such a great vibe about it, but she was so caught up in the mystery of it and how well the mystery is put together and how anxious she was to get to the point where she knew if she had figured it out or hadn't figured it out. And that's what you're looking for in a mystery, right? Is that it just really, wrings all of the anxiety from you. Yeah, she and the lead actor,
Nicole Pastor,
was wonderful.
Is the lead. The director is John Balaz. And the writer, Mike Gerbino. And starring Nicole Pastor, who Brooklyn thought was great. And just that it kept her guessing the whole time, which is always a plus. Like you've said many times, if a film does something you don't expect, boom.
Extra star.
Yeah. so Brooklyn, I think this is the first review that Brooklyn has written for us, I believe.
Well, she covered some Nightmares films for us.
That's right. But now in the Mad Wolf pack.
That's right.
Officially. So check out Brooklyn's review at madwolf.com. But she gave a big recommendation to Freelance, a horror thriller now on VOD. And one more on VOD this week, a thriller. Eli's father awaits execution for murder. As Eli experiences violent tendencies himself, he takes drastic steps to break the family's cycle of brutality. It's called Like Father, Like Son.
If you can understand your father, you may begin to understand yourself.
I don't blame you if you're angry. But tread carefully. Remember whose son you are.
I'm nothing like you. I just want a normal existence. Those urges are coming over you. You don't know a thing about me.
What is wrong with you?
Remember whose son you are.
What happened to your eye?
I just fell.
Why don't you say a little prayer for your old man?
Have you had any thoughts of harming yourself or others?
Well, Rachel Willis drew the short straw this week.
Yeah.
She watched this one for us and did not care for it.
Did not care for
No.
it. If you heard the synopsis and thought, boy, I really liked A History of Violence, so did we.
Yeah.
Not so much.
No.
Not so much with this one.
And it's, she said it's one of those films that brings up interesting ideas, like whether it's possible whether you are just inherently evil, whether it's something that you've inherited from your family, or whether it's, something that you can change, but that doesn't do anything with that. And it doesn't do anything new or interesting. And it was just an all-around disappointment.
Yeah, you will recognize Dermot Mulroney. He plays the father who is awaiting execution, and the writer-director is Barry J. And Rachel just thought it doesn't do anything new or interesting.
No.
But that is on VOD now, called Like Father, Like Son. You can check out Rachel's full review at madwolf.com.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
Heading into the lobby to check in with the Schlocketeer, also known as Daniel Baldwin, for the latest studio news. What are you hearing?
Well, first up, Lee Whannell's Wolfman will hit VOD next week on February 4th. And then Pharrell Williams' Lego-fied musical biopic Piece by Piece will be available to stream on Peacock beginning February 7th. And Damien Leone's Terrifier 3 will hit the horror streaming service Screambox on February 14th, just in time for Valentine's Day. Changing things up, Brady Corbet's The Brutalist will finally arrive on VOD on February 25th. And then Neon has set an April 18th theatrical release for their horror comedy Hell of a Summer, which stars and was also co-written and co-directed by Finn Wolfhard.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I heard about that one.
And Janus Films, which is the theatrical wing of Criterion, will release David Cronenberg's The Shrouds in theaters on April 25th.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
Exactly. Neon has set a May 30th theatrical release for Mike Flanagan's fantasy ensemble drama The Life of Chuck, which is based on the Stephen King story by the same name. Tom Hiddleston plays the titular character, but it also has a beyond stacked cast around him that I'm not even going to begin to list off because it would take the rest of my time slot here to do it.
All right.
Netflix will premiere The Old Guard 2 on July 2nd. Charlize Theron, Kiki Lane, Matthias Schoenaerts, Chiwetel Ejiofor and company are all back. Plus, they're joined by Uma Thurman and Henry Golding this time.
Ooh, all right.
Nice.
Yeah, we enjoyed that first one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun. Sony will release their ocean-set disaster thriller Beneath the Storm in theaters on August 1st, and that hails from Dead Snow and Violent Night filmmaker Tommy Wirkola.
Okay.
Yeah, all righty.
And speaking of Terrifier, that franchise's distributor Cineverse has scooped up Macon Blair's remake of The Toxic Avenger, and they're going to give it an unrated theatrical release on August 29th.
Cannot wait.
Good. Been waiting too long.
Way too long. I think that was shot 3 or 4 years ago at this point. Paramount and Miramax have set an October 3rd theatrical release for Derek C. and France's crime drama Roofman, which stars Channing Tatum, Kirsten Dunst, and Peter Dinklage.
Cool.
And then I've got 2 more for you, both are project announcements. First up, Robert Eggers is reteaming with Focus Features and Universal off the back of Nosferatu becoming a hit. And of course, he's doing another period piece monster movie titled Werewolf, which will be set in 13th century England. And that's coming out Christmas 2026. Who wouldn't want to hail in Christmas with a werewolf movie?
Bring it on.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring it on.
We enjoyed hailing Christmas with a vampire.
I did too. And of course, Eggers is also now attached to write and direct a Labyrinth sequel for Sony. I'm not exactly sure who you get to replace Bowie these days, but he's got some time to figure that out.
Tilda Swinton, is she available?
Yeah.
Maybe. That might work.
Yeah.
And then lastly, Miramax and Paramount have announced that companion filmmaker Drew Hancock will be remaking The Faculty for them.
Huh.
See, I've got a pitch for that.
You got a pitch?
Yeah. Take the entire team cast from the first one, Elijah Wood, Josh Hartnett, Jordana Brewster, all of them, and cast them as the teachers.
The teachers, yeah. I like it. Let's do lunch. Take a meeting.
Or Muppets.
Well, I mean, always. Maybe they turn into Muppets instead of aliens.
Oh, yeah, we got something there. Or you can always check in with Daniel on the socials. Keep up with the latest news at The Schlocketeer. Thanks again.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Looking ahead to next week, another Oscar nominee that's getting a wider rollout called I'm Still Here.
And a new Barry Keoghan film, Bring Them Down.
One called Love Hurts.
Heart Eyes.
And Good, Bad Things. That is all next week. Well, what about this week? You're loving Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon, or a companion with the AI, or what are you watching? What are you liking? We always like to keep the conversation going. Anytime you can find us easily on the socials at Mad Wolf Columbus. Of course, the main website is madwolf.com. Always up for some fun with the movies. So we'll talk again next week. And until then, be well. Stay away from all this flu or whatever's going around.
Yeah.
Everywhere you look, everybody's sick. So wipe down. Get those bleach wipes. and stay well. We'll talk again soon. She is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Screening Room Podcast.
See ya.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.
Okay, everybody, that's a wrap.